Hey YouTube, this is Mika Coleman with Tax Deed and Overage Education, and today I want to talk about what overages to avoid, especially if you're a newbie, because I promise you'll probably won't want to do overages if you go after the type of overages that I'm going to talk about. But first of all, I like to just say thank you for watching, and if you don't mind to like and subscribe at the bottom after you have seen this content. So let me get back into it about what are the type of overages you should avoid. Number one, the one that I think, and I only would do this if you were like in one of my cohorts or we were doing this on 101. If you're newbie and you're going after this, I would avoid corporations. I would avoid that, especially if you're going about this on your own, unless you're familiar in the corporation and established space. I would not do that. Number two, I would not go after someone that's deceased. And that's one of the ones I really wanted to talk about today was it's good to be vigilant, but you want to probably go after people that aren't deceased. And let me just tell you why. I had someone that was doing an overage claim, and I allowed him to pursue it because we're doing one-on-one, but it got really frustrating for him because he just was like, I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole. And so this is why I wanted to talk about some of the overages you should just avoid altogether, especially if you're going on this alone. So just a case in point, if you see that it's deceased, which how would you know if they're deceased? Some lists are starting to put that, but the type of information that I have or the skip tracing that I provide for my students, it will let you know if the person is deceased or not. And the reason why I say this is an overage to avoid is because if it has more than one heir or it may not have any heirs at all, you're pretty much chasing down a rabbit hole. There are, like, for example, in certain, I was going to say California, right? But I noticed that certain counties don't have the same rules, because one county would just say you have to just verify by heirship or by birth certificate, and where one county was like, oh, they have to be the administrator of the probate. So anyway, to make a long story short, I would say if you're doing overages and this is your first time, I would not go after anybody that's deceased, because it just takes so much more time. I do know that in some of the research, the platforms and the tools that I provide, it does give you the closest relatives, but then, especially if you have two, maybe one, I stay away from it altogether. Like, I'm just like, it's 3,033 counties, okay? And not everybody on the list is deceased. So I'm like, have at it if you want to go chase down heirs, and then you got to get the heirs to agree. So one of the things that I would say, if you're new to this business, to stay away from overages that actually have deceased claimants, and also to claims that have corporations. Now, personally, I'm very familiar with the corporate space, how they're developed. I know how to find the owners, but if you're doing this on your own and you don't know how to do that, that's just another hurdle that you have to get over to get to the bag. I'll be completely honest. I think I've said this in one of my other videos. You would ask, why isn't everybody doing this? Well, everybody doesn't do it because they do not want to take the time to even find the claimant. So just imagine trying to find the heirs of a deceased claimant or then trying to find the owners of a corporation. And even when you find the owners of the corporation, which I have found, sometimes depending upon why the corporation dissolved or why the corporation has different members, one member doesn't want to act without the other member. So in my opinion, it's just too much red tape. That's another reason why I probably don't do mortgage for overages, which is because it's just too much red tape. I rather deal directly with the individual and go straight for the claimant. That's it. That's all. But anyway, that is my 2 cents on what overages you should not go after. That's only my opinion. You do have the right to go after any overages you would like. I would just say if you're a newbie, those are the two things, the two overages I would avoid if you're first starting out. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to working with you on the other side if you decide to use me as a coach for doing overages. Happy investing, guys.